Desera. Desera was a digital distribution platform for the Microsoft Windows, Linux, and OS X platforms. Their service was similar to Steam or GameJolt, where games and related media are distributed online. Many independent developers and small companies published their content on Desera, including Scott Cawthon, who published the original FNAF on there before it was approved for Steam. Desera was later sold to Bad Juju Games, which then filed for bankruptcy in June of 2015. In October 2016, Desera was acquired by the Danish company OnePlay, intending to relaunch Desera. Desera's website spent years being down and is now unrelated to the original Desera. Failed Kickstarter. Scott Cawthon created a Kickstarter to try and boost production of the first game. He ultimately raised a grand total of, drumroll please, $0.00 due to him canceling the Kickstarter early and the fact that nobody knew what a Freddy Fazbear was at the time. Interestingly enough though, the description of the game refers to his original name of Freddy Bear, being a play on the words of teddy bear. Freddy in women's bathroom. In the first FNAF game, Freddy can hide in the women's bathroom while on his attack route. This led to people thinking the spirit of Freddy might have been a girl, including MatPat's original FNAF theory. We now know this to not be true, as we know Freddy's spirit is Gabriel. Scott voices Phone Guy. This refers to how Phone Guy, in all of his appearances, is voiced by Scott himself. This was due to the fact that early on, Scott was the only one working on the series, so there were no voice actors that could have voiced Phone Guy. FNAF movie. The FNAF movie has had a long, rocky development. Warner Bros. Pictures announced in April of 2015 that it acquired the series' film rights, with Gil Keenan set to direct. However, in January 2017, Scott said that due to the problems with the movie industry as a whole, the film was met with several delays and roadblocks and was back at square one. Then in March of that year, Scott tweeted a picture of a director's chair with the name Freddy on it with the Blumhouse Productions logo in the background. This symbolized the fact that the film had a new production company. Producer Jason Blum confirmed the news 2 months later, stating that he was excited about working closely with Scott on the adaptation. In June 2017, Keenan said that he was no longer directing the film after Warner Bros. Pictures' turnaround. It was also announced that in February 2018 that Chris Columbus would direct and write the film, also producing with Jason Blum and Scott. In August 2018, Kira Breed Risley announced the script's first draft was completed and that the second and third films based on the second and third games respectively were possible. That month, Jason Blum tweeted the film was planned for a 2020 release. However, in November of 2018, Scott announced that the film script had been scrapped and the film would be further delayed. In June 2020, Jason Blum said in an interview that the film was in super active development and that it's moving rapidly forward, but he didn't want to put a timeline on it just yet. In November 2020, Scott said in a Reddit post that a screenplay had been chosen and that filming would start in spring of 2021. Included was a list of scrapped screenplays with a small description of each and why they were ultimately unused, as well as the chosen one dubbed the Mike screenplay. Chris Columbus was later replaced by Emma Tammy in October 2022. The movie, with a budget of around $20 million, released simultaneously in theaters and on Peacock in the United States by Universal Pictures on October 27, 2023. But more on that later. Sparky the Dog. Sparky the Dog is an iconic FNAF hoax from its early days. Back in the year of our Lord 2014, someone began to spread rumors about a hidden 6th animatronic named Sparky the Dog. Sure enough, screenshots began to crop up on Tumblr. Reportedly, Sparky was broken, only had one arm, and would never attack the player, only appearing occasionally in the backstage doorway. However, it was eventually revealed as a hoax by its creators, Tumblr users Cordella Bear and Nugan, with all the screenshots being photoshopped. Mangle's gender. This refers to the confusion over Mangle's gender. People would have debates over them, and even Scott added fuel to the fire by referring to them with both male and female pronouns. Mangle's design is very feminine, with pink colors and long eyelashes, so the majority of people assumed Mangle was female. She even appeared in the Ladies' Night mode of FNAF's Custom Night. However, when the game was released, during one of the phone calls, Phone Guy sounded like he was referring to Mangle as either him or them at a certain point. That, along with the rumor that Scott had stated all the characters were the same gender as their original counterparts, started the initial debate. After this, Scott was asked about Mangle's gender on Steam, with the user asking if they were male or female, to which Scott replied, yes. Ever since then, Mangle has had references to both pronouns during every future mention in the series as a nod to this debate, which kept the debate going. CD+. This is a debugging feature put into the first 2 FNAF games. By pressing CD and the plus signs on the keyboard, it makes you skip straight to 6 AM. The same applies to the second game, the difference being your cursor must be hovering over Freddy's nose on the Celebrate poster while pressing the keys. This exploit was removed in the third game and hasn't been seen in any FNAF game since then. It's worth noting that several people claim that on the Phantom BB teaser for FNAF 3, you can see the letters C and D on the side of his head if you brighten up the image. This led people to believe that the letters had more significance, but it's never been confirmed. Sister location takes place underneath FNAF 4. This is referring to a theory that the storage facility you explore in Sister location is located directly below the FNAF 4 house. There's a lot of evidence for this theory, even if not being confirmed. There's the map in the Funtime Freddy minigame, where some of the layouts shown are supposedly the map from the 8-bit sections of FNAF 4. In the private room, if you type 1983 into the keypad, the 3 monitors will show different views of the bite victim's room. This can all be explained away by the fact that William Afton, who owns the FNAF 4 house, was just monitoring his kids in their house while working. Obscure graphics. Obscure graphics refers to sprites throughout the series that are never fully seen in the game but can only be seen fully in the files. Some examples include Springtrap's walking animation in FNAF 3 where his legs don't move, or in UCN when some of Balloon Boy and JJ's features are missing. Plush Trap Prize Jump Scare. This refers to how on rare occasions when earning a prize and help wanted, you'll be jump scared by Plush Trap. You'll be sent to the game over screen, but the stage will occur and will still be counted as beaten. As far as I know, this Easter egg can only occur once per save file. NFTs. NFTs, otherwise known as non-fungible tokens, are unique digital tokens that represent ownership of a specific digital item and have raised environmental concerns due to the high energy consumption associated with their creation and transaction. In May 2021, Scott Cawthon became embroiled in controversy when it was disclosed that he had licensed FNAF NFTs to the company Wax. This revelation triggered backlash from the fanbase, who voiced concerns over the environmental impact, viewing it as contrary to widely held environmental ethics. Initially unaware of the extent of these issues, Scott withdrew the NFT license after the community robustly communicated their objections. Mr. Hippo's Long Stories. This refers to Mr. Hippo and Ultimate Custom Night. In UCM, when you die, most of the time the animatronic who killed you will say something. If you die by Mr. Hippo, he will tell you a long story about himself and Orville the elephant, and a photo of him will slowly appear on screen. The funny thing is, you can't skip this. Even if you exit the game and come back, he will still be there until he finishes that story. Save Them. SAVETHEM, otherwise known as Save Them, is one of the death minigames that can be played in FNAF 2 after getting killed by the animatronics. The minigame takes place at the FNAF 2 pizzeria. The player controls Withered Freddy by using the WASD keys and will have to follow the puppet. Once arriving in a certain room with the puppet, the game abruptly cuts to static and ends. The player could choose not to follow the puppet and instead receive an identical ending by encountering Golden Freddy or by touching any of the 5 dead bodies strewn around the map. While the player is walking, a robotic voice can be heard spelling out "Save Them." Very rarely during this minigame, William Afton will appear at the end of the room the player has entered. Afton will follow Withered Freddy until coming into contact with him. Blue static will then cover the screen, flashing the words "You can't" at the bottom left. Puppet hallucinations. This is referring to after the puppet comes out of the box in FNAF 2, but before he kills you. In this short time span, you can see them flashing on the main hall camera. It will either be their face or them floating in mid-air. Funko leaks. This is referring to when the global toy manufacturing company Funko leaked products related to FNAF security breach, which we had not seen at the time. Funko posted their lineup of their upcoming toys on their Instagram, with the security breach characters also in that list. The thing is, this is before those characters' names were revealed. Scott was not happy, and we all assumed Funko would be stripped of their license, but unfortunately, that didn't happen. Candy Cadet Stories. This refers to the stories that Candy Cadet tells you in FNAF 6. Candy Cadet has 3 stories that he will tell you after he gives you candy. The possibility of hearing his story is very difficult and takes a fond memory of the color schemes that quickly flash on him. There is no exact color scheme that he must follow to get the story, but there is, however, one way that helps memorize the schemes. After he tells you to come back for a story, the color schemes will stop flashing and have a pause for a very short moment. All the stories will have a similar motive of death/destruction of 5 things, as well as 5 things being melted into one. This could possibly be related to the murder of the 5 children, the 5 members of the Afton family, the 5 animatronics forming Ennard, or most likely, William melting the classic animatronics together to make the fun times.